Attention passionate Montreal, Canadiens fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the Atlantic Division and it could shake up the entire conference. We're talking about a direct impact on Montreal Canadiens' path to another Stanley Cup run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Montreal Canadiens fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Montreal Canadiens fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. Buckle up because what's happening in the NHL right now, especially in the context of the Montreal Canadiens, is nothing short of explosive. As the offseason heats up and training camps are right around the corner, the buzz is all about potential trades, strategic moves, and players whose futures are still very much uncertain. And one name that's been making waves recently is Mason McTavish, a young, talented center currently under contract with the Anaheim Ducks, but whose future with the team is suddenly more up in the air than ever before. This is especially interesting for Canadiens fans because, despite McTavish not being officially available on the trade block, there's significant interest from some of the league's most ambitious teams. The Ducks, for their part, haven't actively shopped him, but the whispers are loud enough that it's impossible to ignore. Multiple sources, including reputable insiders like James Murphy from RG, have pointed out that teams like the Detroit Red Wings, the Montreal Canadiens, and even the Carolina Hurricanes are showing serious interest in Mason McTavish's rights. Now, this isn't just idle curiosity. It's about a player who, at just 22 years old, already demonstrated remarkable scoring ability, leading the Ducks with 22 goals last season and finishing with 52 points overall. That's impressive production for someone still early in his career, and it's precisely why teams are lining up to see what it would take to acquire him. What makes Mason McTavish so intriguing? Well, for starters, his potential is sky-high. There's talk about him having a ceiling of 65 to 75 points, which is exactly the kind of offensive upside that teams dream about when they're looking to add dynamic centers to their lineup. And let's not forget, with a new head coach like Joel Quenneville coming in, there's a lot of speculation about whether McTavish might be poised for a breakout season. Quenneville's track record of developing young talent could be exactly what Mason needs to unlock his full potential and become a true star in this league. But here's the thing. Although the Ducks aren't actively shopping him, the trade rumors have started to gain traction precisely because of his value and the interest from multiple teams. It's a delicate situation. Longtime hockey analyst Pierre McGuire has been quite clear about this. He said that any team interested in Mason McTavish will have to pay a premium because you're not just acquiring a talented young player, but someone with the potential to be a franchise centerpiece. McGuire emphasized that you're not getting that guy for free, and that's a crucial point. Teams like the Canadiens are watching closely, knowing that if the Ducks do decide to move him, they'll want a high-end, right-shot defensive prospect in return. And here's where things get even more interesting for Montreal fans. Reports from Pro Hockey Rumors suggest that the Ducks are seeking a steep price, likely a top-tier defensive prospect like David Reinbacher or Axel Sandin-Pellikka, both of whom are highly regarded in the league. Reinbacher, in particular, is a player who has drawn a lot of attention for his size, skating ability, and defensive instincts. For the Canadiens, that could mean trading away a key piece of their future core, but also potentially landing a player who could help transform their back end for years to come. Now, among the teams that seem most aggressive in their pursuit of McTavish is Detroit. The Red Wings, under GM Steve Yzerman, have been aggressive in reshaping their roster, and their relationship with Ducks GM Pat Verbeek is reportedly a key factor here. Detroit has been very clear about their desire to bolster their middle with young, talented players, and Mason McTavish fits right into that vision. Rumors even suggest that the Red Wings might be willing to include a player like Moritz Seider in negotiations, which underscores how serious they are about acquiring a player of McTavish's caliber. For the Canadiens, this scenario is particularly compelling. Montreal is in the midst of a strategic rebuild, trying to add young talent that can grow together for a future Stanley Cup window. Mason McTavish could very well be that player, someone who can slot into their middle six and provide immediate impact while also having the potential to be a cornerstone for years to come. His offensive upside, combined with his age and size, makes him an attractive target. But let's take a moment to analyze what it means for the Canadiens' current roster and their long-term plans. The team has been focusing on building a strong, competitive core, with players like Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki leading the way. Adding a center like McTavish could complement their existing core, creating a formidable line that can produce offensively and play physically. And with the team's recent draft success, especially in the last couple of years, Montreal has the assets to make a deal that could bring McTavish to Quebec. Of course, any trade involving a player of McTavish's potential and pedigree would come at a cost. The Canadiens would have to think carefully about what they're willing to give up. Do they part with a promising defensive prospect like Reinbacher, or do they see this as an opportunity to make a bold move that could accelerate their rebuild? These are questions that GM Kent Hughes and his staff are undoubtedly weighing, especially with the season just around the corner. But the broader picture here is what it means for the Atlantic Division and the NHL as a whole. If the Canadiens manage to land Mason McTavish, it would send a clear message that they're serious about competing sooner rather than later. It would also shake up the division, because Detroit's aggressive pursuit signals that other teams aren't content to sit back. They want to make moves that can give them an edge. The Ducks, on the other hand, are trying to gauge the market value for McTavish, knowing full well that a player of his talent is rare. And let's not forget that this isn't just about one player. It's about the strategic direction of these teams. The Ducks are in a rebuilding phase, and if they decide to trade Mason McTavish, it's likely to be part of a broader plan to acquire draft picks or prospects that can help them in the long run. Meanwhile, for Montreal, this could be an opportunity to add that missing piece that pushes them closer to playoff contention or even a deep playoff run in the coming seasons. It's a fascinating chess match that is still unfolding, and as fans, we're right in the middle of it. Now I want to pause here for a second because I know this kind of news gets everyone excited. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Montreal Canadiens news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now, let us continue with the big reveal. Okay, back to the main point. The potential acquisition of Mason McTavish by the Montreal Canadiens isn't just a rumor anymore. It's a real possibility that could reshape their roster and their future trajectory. The team has been emphasizing youth and development, but making a bold move like this could accelerate their timeline and give them a player who, at just 22, has already shown he can score and contribute at the NHL level. Imagine the impact Mason McTavish could have on the Canadiens' lineup. His versatility as a center means he can be deployed in various situations, both offensively and defensively. His offensive instincts could complement Cole Caulfield's scoring prowess, and his size and skill set would add a layer of physicality and grit that Montreal has been looking to strengthen. Plus, with the team's young core still developing, having a player like McTavish in the mix could be a game-changer in terms of team chemistry and long-term success. But of course, everything hinges on the negotiations. The Ducks are seeking a high-value return, and Montreal will need to decide how much they're willing to give up to land him. If they choose to go all in on this opportunity, it could mean parting with a promising prospect like Reinbacher, who has drawn comparisons to some of the league's top defensemen at a young age. That's a tough decision for any GM, but the potential payoff could be worth it. Acquiring McTavish would send a statement that the Canadiens are serious about their rebuild and ready to compete with the best in the league sooner rather than later. Looking ahead, if Montreal does manage to pull off this trade, it would set the tone for the rest of the offseason. It would show that they're not afraid to make bold moves, that they believe in their young talent, and that they want to be serious contenders in the very near future. And of course, it would be a huge boost for the fans, who have been patiently waiting for their team to take that next step. The excitement surrounding McTavish's potential arrival is palpable, and it's the kind of move that could energize the entire fanbase, spark optimism, and ignite a new chapter in Canadiens' history. And finally, as we always say here, the NHL offseason is full of surprises, and this story is far from over. The trade talks are still in early stages, but the interest is real and the stakes are high. For the Montreal Canadiens, this is an opportunity to be part of something special, an opportunity to bring in a player with superstar potential and help reshape the future of the franchise. Whether it happens or not, one thing is clear. The coming weeks will be crucial, and Canadiens fans should stay tuned because the best is yet to come. And now, Montreal Canadiens fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Montreal Canadiens. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Montreal Canadiens news. Thanks for being here, and let's keep the passion alive.